Okay, it's Gordon's Garage again for Never Satisfied. And this week we have a 66 Mustang. And yes, I'm still dealing with my broke camera. Hopefully get that fixed today or tomorrow. 66 Mustang, what is it, a 289, 302? 302. It's a 302, 4-speed car. And let's see, it hasn't run since about 1999 or 98. Right there is the inspection sticker from North Carolina back in 98. But it seems to be a solid little car. Somebody painted a panther on the trunk. Dual exhaust, haven't been under the car yet. Interior's not too bad actually. The seats look really good. Couple little tears. Engine's supposed to have low miles, but it had wiring issues back in 98. That's why it was parked. The wiring was smoked on it. Right now we're trying to figure out why the starter will not turn over. And what we found out is we're not sending power through this brand new solenoid because the starter is sending a ground back up to the sender pole here. So it's either that positive cable is shorted out on the header or the starter itself has gone bad. Okay, so we pulled the starter off, we bench tested it, and it's gone. It's dead. Put the power here, grounded it, and just nothing. So whatever has gone bad inside and shortened up against the casing. So we'll get a starter for this thing and get it turning over. See if we can get some fire and maybe dump a little fuel down the carburetor. I'll tell you what, that's a good looking Mustang. You see this offset back here? That's proper. So everybody take note of that. That's the proper offset for a hot rod. Okay, so we're getting a little somewhere on this thing. Waiting on a starter, but in the meantime, I've been messing around with the wiring. I don't know what this is yet, but there was a couple of the main harnesses unplugged, the one that goes into here, and I don't know. I'm really gotta go get me a camera so I can see what I'm doing. But there's a main harness that plugs in right there where my finger's pointing. So somebody had that unplugged and that one unplugged. And so I've got power to my solenoid now when I turn the key switch, and let's see, I can pull the lights and we've got headlights now. Probably the first time those headlights have been on in 99, 2009, 2000, well, 20 something years, 22 years, 22. So as soon as that starter gets here, maybe we can get the engine turning over. I got some lights on our instrument cluster lighting up, and the glove box light over there is lighting up. So yeah, maybe we're getting somewhere. I don't think it's going to be too much to get this thing cranked and running. It's got a Ford 9-inch under the rear, and that's not the factory 9-inch. That's why those wheels stick out so far. It's got traction bars under it. Dual exhaust, flow masters, and we haven't heard the engine run, but the guy that it came from said it was a hot little engine, so we'll see. I mean, it's got headers on it. We got an HEI ignition coming for it, but we might see if we get these points going, and just see if we can hear it fire up. See if she'll bust fuel it's a really cool little ride. I like the little 76 ball. That little 302 and 4-speed, 9-inch rear. I bet it'll be a fun little car to drive. Can't wait. Okay, so we've got our new fuel tank here in this box. Looks like that's a sending unit probably in that box, and then the neck hose for the fill. And for those of you that didn't know, the Mustang fuel tank is the trunk pan. The fuel tank just comes right out of the trunk, and the new fuel tank will actually be the trunk pan. So that's where we are. We're going to put a new fuel tank in it. The old fuel tank was all gummed up with old nasty gas, and we'll blow through the fuel lines, put new fuel hoses there, and see if we can get this puppy running. I'm having starter issues. I'll have to show you that here in a little bit. Okay, if you can see there where the starter bolts to the transmission, you got a bolt here and a bolt there. This shield is broken, and the starter, it should go circle this whole circle here. So the starter's sitting uneven. It's sitting half on here and half on here, which is causing it to miss or hit the either miss the flywheel or hit the flywheel unevenly. So I got to figure out what to do here. We're either going to have to make a spacer, which I've already tried that. I've tried making a couple spacers using these pieces of head gasket here, and it made it a little better, but it's still hitting it and making a horrendous noise. So we got to figure out what to do with that. Okay, so we're back on this 66, and yes, I'm still using a broke camera, but basically remember what I showed you yesterday, this thing was sitting half on the shim and half off because somebody in the past had cut it. See how it's already, this new starter, it's already caved that casting in. So basically I'm making a shim to fit that. I've got my cardboard template here, and now I'm tracing it onto this metal piece here to build me a shim. Okay, shim made in-house over here at Never Satisfied's Rainy Day Garage. I wish we could film as good as we could fabricate, we might get somewhere. So now I got to take this shim under the car and place it on the transmission and make some marks where it will line up to the factory shield or shim. So basically, I'm going to try to show you this. This is some hard filming. I've made a shim that's the same thickness as the factory plate that they have cut. I'm going to put that behind the starter, and hopefully that will shim that the proper distance and hold the starter at the proper distance to hit the flywheel correctly. So we'll see. I hope you can see that. Alright, crap just got real on this Ford. We don't ever mess with Fords. Starter broke, the ear broke off the starter. Freaking brand new starter. Then, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. Camera's there. Half the teeth are missing off the daggum flywheel. I mean, it's a nightmare. Alright, so we're back on this 66 Mustang. And we've had some real starter issues out of it. The separator plate that goes between the engine block and the transmission has been broke sometime in the past or something. I don't know what happened. You know, you got 30, 40 years of history here, maybe 50. Yeah, probably 50 years of history in this car. And who knows what happened in the past, but the separator plate was all messed up and the starter was sitting crooked on the transmission, so it wore out the flywheel ring gear. So we've got a new flywheel, we've got a new separator plate, we've got a new starter coming, and we've done a lot of research on the different bell housings that fit the different size flywheels. You got a large bell housing and a small bell housing. You have a 157 tooth flywheel, and then you have like 160 something tooth flywheel. So it's a lot of research. Hopefully we got it right. I'm pulling the transmission out here in just a minute, and shouldn't take too long. It's pretty simple. 3-speed manual. Got to pop the drive shaft out, transmission out, then the bell housing, and then the flywheel on the back of the engine. And then we'll hopefully get some correct, what's the word I'm looking for? Combinations. We get some correct combinations and put all that together, and it'll start, or the engine will turn over nice. And I've already had it. I had it where the starter was hitting the flywheel and turning the engine over. I had some starter fluid in the engine, and the engine cranked. But as it cranked, it busted the ear off of the starter, so it broke the mounting tab off of the starter. So that was over with. So I know the engine's going to run. I know it's going to run. But we got to get the correct combination on the starter versus the bell housing, the transmission bell housing versus the correct size flywheel. Ford is messed up. Chevrolet is easy, Ford is hard. So just work with us here. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we had an explosion under this Mustang. Had to yank the transmission out to get a flywheel. This transmission sitting there, 3-speed. Flywheel teeth. We could have replaced the ring gear, but we just did a flywheel. New flywheel here. New separator plate. So hopefully that'll take care of our starter issues. SIM card and everything I have to go over. Do you think it started pulling the fuel out of that yet? You did a win there. Good one. Is he in any trouble or?
No, she said he's done good this week.
Let's fill this bowl up. Can you find the choke?
See no choke.
It's got a cable. Somebody's got it. Let me just do it out here. All right, it's open. See what it'll do.
Ready?
Yeah. Sorry. Did we check the oil in it? Get water in the radiator? All right, go ahead. Okay, hopefully here we go. First drive in, well, since 1998. It's smoking really bad because the owner that was working on it before filled the cylinders up with transmission fluid just to help lubricate them and break them free, which that's fine. That's a good thing to do. But Scott's going to go drive it now and just kind of blow it out of the mufflers. When he comes back, he should be burning clean. Can't wait to get my new phone all hooked up. We had to upload everything to the computer last night to, what do you say, to store it so you don't lose it. I can't think of the word right now, but so we did all that, and now we got to, a little bit later today, put it over to the new phone and put the SIM card from this phone in there. And it's been just it's a real pain in the rear to film on this side of the phone, because I can't, when I do like this, I can't see what I'm actually filming. I have to peek around the corner like this to make sure I'm filming right, so it's just kind of been a pain. I apologize, and shouldn't be, but we'll turn this into part 1 and then part 2 of this Mustang, which there's more to come on it. I think it's going to be painted and everything. So part 2 will be with my new phone. All right, here he comes back. So he went down the street and he didn't break down or nothing. He looks like he's still smoking a little bit. Sound like the fan's hitting something. Yeah, she's still smoking. She's going to take a good little drive to burn all that out of the mufflers. Let it sit out here and idle for a little bit. Hopefully that'll clear up.